And you know what? We did talk about the guy who walked 20 miles or whatever, worked 10 miles away and walked 10 miles back. And a lot of people seem to think that it was stupid, and I wasn't alone in my thoughts.
It was stupid?
Yes, they think that, how could he be walking for $10.50 an hour? That's far, nobody will give him a ride. And from what I understand, the story goes on that he did get all this money. He had to have somebody who's dealing with it for him, and he moved in with his girlfriend and is paying her $900 a month for the rent.
Hey, Margie, could you just hold a minute for me, please? Hold a minute for me?
Go ahead.
All right, hold a minute. Hold 1 minute.
The Strollers present Fuddy Mears, a dark, absurdist farce about all that is imperfect and flawed in the human condition. Come see it at the Bergdorf Center for the Performing Arts on 10 Durand Road in Maplewood. Friday and Saturday performances are on March 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th at 8 p.m., with a Sunday matinee on March 8th at 2 p.m. Visit thestrollers.org for tickets and details. Don't stay at home. Come play with the Strollers.
This is the South Orange Maplewood Online Radio Experience. We want to hear from you at 973-327-3626 or log on to showmore.org to let us know your opinion.
We just had to get a few commercials in there, Marjorie. We're back with you. So what? So you went out, you were hanging out with a former student.
Yes, a former student. And then he left, and then I stayed, and then other people started buying me drinks. And in the discussion, we talked about the guy, the Detroiter who walked from Detroit into Rochester to go to work. And I was told that it was an embarrassing story, and there are many people who don't believe the way the story goes. So, even though it was national news, people are like, "That'd be kidding me," and we're all sitting around the bar, a bunch of people are laughing.
Well, why don't people believe the story? Why would the guy want to make up a story like that?
It could be believable, but it just doesn't really. Something about it, it's just sus. Suspicious, I should say. It's something about it that's suspicious. And when you break it down, you didn't really walk all the way. You walked far to get to one bus, got off of that bus, and then walked some more, supposedly. But it was like he couldn't have found a ride every day. And then on top of that, he got way more money, and then the car was donated to him. So now he had $300,000.
I don't understand why people question the story, though.
I question the story because it's not looking for an atmosphere. I know fuck. You saw, and I don't know if you saw, I'm going to get a clip, and I'm going to go back down the street. I saw it because I didn't have my iPad with me, and I didn't want to use the phone. But, there was just like 4 blocks of abandonment, of nothing. Just abandoned, devastation, empty lots, busted up storefronts, nothing. Just not walking kind of place. You went down a street, 4 houses are on the street that were once 30 houses. It's just the things you see here. It's just really sad. It's almost rougher than any developing country I've been in. And I've been in some poor countries and seen some really rough things. And as far as third world style rough things. And this is rougher and dangerous or more foreboding than any of that other stuff that I've seen. Any of the other devastation and blight. Somebody came and fixed the cable in the house today, and I asked him, and he seemed to think that, Detroit is being gentrified, and that in order for people to come and buy it up, it has to go all the way down. But, people could say that about Newark or Bed-Stuy or any of those places, and those places haven't fallen apart, as far as the streets and the buildings. for it to be gentrified. So, I have the East Coast mentality of what gentrification is, and not a Midwestern one. And this is very different.
Well, Margie, it's an opportunity for you to buy up a few of those cheap housing out there.
No, I can't do that, Ann. No, I just can't. First of all,
no, they got buildings up there going for $1.5 million. You could have had for a song on a dance a few years ago.
Yeah, but those brownstones that were once in Harlem may have been hollowed out, but they still remain, and they can be fixed. But this real estate here is different. There's space. It's not as tight and congested as it is, in Harlem or Bed-Stuy or any other place that's been gentrified. This is a totally different thing. So I don't know what the city of Detroit plans. I mean, I would love to help them in a way, but it's really sad. It's really sad what it can become. A lot of people are, complaining about that. Yes, it's a black city. 80, 82, 83% black, but nothing is owned by black people. And speaking of that, the city between Detroit and Southfield is Dearborn. And that used to be, we used to think of that as a racist city. It was pretty much predominantly, not all white. And now it's majority Arab. And so you've got, first these Chaldeans, these Iraqi Christians came. Then another big flow of Lebanese and Palestinians, and now you've got a lot of Pakistanis. And so when you're in the mall here, you'll see signs not only in English, but also in Arabic. It's a gigantic number of people here. I mean, you see so many Mediterranean restaurants. They're everywhere. I mean, get the cheapest falafel or baba ganoush or gyro or grape leaves that you can get anywhere. I mean, it's more of a delicacy and a little bit more expensive to get in that part of the world on the East Coast. But here it's just prevalent. It's everywhere, and the food is really good. So it's Detroit Metro Detroit, black and Arab, different types of Arabs. Some Muslim, some Christian Arabs. They dominate everything. And in the mall, I saw people, it reminded me of being in Morocco, where you see a bunch of old Arab guys sitting around drinking tea, but now they're sitting in the mall rather than on the streets of Arkash. That's amazing thing. People bring their cultures with them. So, yeah, and I don't know what that's all about, Anselm. I guess that's the question of the century. Why is it, that we can't do that? I don't know. That's the question. That's right. Yeah, and the Chinese are all over Africa investing, and Indians, and That's right. Well, again, I keep hearing, it seems like you hear the same stories, on some weeks. I keep hearing random people who I have conversations with saying that we don't understand economics, and even though it's because of the community in which we live in. We don't own the stores in the community or, any of the shops. You go to a place to get, chicken and some other person is owning that. And they're behind bulletproof glass or plexiglass. I don't know. I'm sure there's some answer to that. I mean, Caribbean like that in Trinidad, and everything's owned by someone else. Do you feel like that in Jamaica or Barbados or any of these other places, or is it just... Ah. Now, was that attached to that article, or was it just sitting out there randomly? Mm-hmm. What did they say? They say that they're white. That Arabs, including North African Arabs or people from North Africa, Egyptians, are considered white in the census. You know that, right? So when we say that the majority of people are white, they're including Arabs in there, but Arabs, I don't think they consider themselves white, and they certainly are treated like white people. I don't think they have the same privilege, yes? So I asked somebody, why is that? And he was like, well, if you really broke it down like that, then white people would really be a minority. Yeah. It's like this town, Dearborn, they say it's, 80% white, but of those 80%, maybe 50% of them are Arabs. They say the whole Metro Detroit area is 60% white, but of the 60%, 30% of that might be Arab people. So mm-hmm. Are you getting the responses that you expected, or do you think maybe you can tweak the question a little?